In the last episode, we saw Alex Carter, a determined entrepreneur, rebuilding humanity's shattered world by forging alliances with alien species and distributing advanced technology to desperate communities. His efforts revived hope in a desolate future. As I stepped out of the makeshift habitat module, a chilly breeze hit my face, carrying the acrid smell of smoke and ash. The once blue sky was now a perpetual gray haze, a constant reminder of the devastation that ravaged our planet. I gazed out at the makeshift settlement, a collection of scavenged habitats and improvised shelters, teeming with life. The soft hum of the habitat's life support systems and the murmur of hushed conversations filled the air. People went about their daily routines, their faces etched with a mix of determination and despair. I spotted Maya, my trusted friend and engineer, tinkering with a salvaged engine. She looked up, caught my eye, and nodded. I walked through the settlement, exchanging nods and brief greetings with the inhabitants. We had come a long way since the early days of desperation, when survival was a daily struggle. My vision of rebuilding humanity had attracted like-minded individuals, and together, we had formed a tight-knit community. As I reached the edge of the settlement, I noticed a group of newcomers, freshly arrived from a neighboring settlement. They were huddled around a makeshift stall, eyeing the wares on display. I recognized the vendor, a grizzled old trader named Marcus who had a knack for acquiring valuable scrap. Marcus caught my eye and beckoned me over. I ambled towards him, intrigued by the assortment of goods on display. As I approached, I noticed a young woman, dressed in worn, makeshift armor, eyeing the crowd warily. She seemed out of place among the traders and settlers. "Who is that?" I asked Marcus, nodding towards the young woman. Marcus followed my gaze and leaned in, lowering his voice. "That's Eleanor, a trader from the Outer Rim. She arrived a few hours ago with a cargo of rare earth minerals and some other goods." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Other goods?" Marcus' expression turned serious. "Rumors are circulating about a new player in the galaxy, one who's been quietly accumulating resources and tech. Some folks are speculating it's a rival faction, looking to disrupt the fragile peace." My mind began racing with the implications. A new player, potentially hostile, could upset the delicate balance we had established. I made a mental note to investigate further to understand the intentions of this newcomer. As I turned to leave, Eleanor caught my eye, her gaze piercing. For a moment our eyes locked, and I sensed a deep-seated determination in her expression. I nodded at her, a gesture of acknowledgement, and continued on my way, lost in thought. The arrival of Eleanor and the rumors surrounding the new player had stirred a mix of emotions within me: curiosity, concern, and a hint of unease. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a complex and treacherous journey, one that would test my resolve, my alliances, and my very understanding of the world we lived in. I walked back to my makeshift office, a converted shipping container situated near the heart of the settlement. Maya was waiting for me, her eyes fixed on the holographic display projected from her portable console. "What's the latest, Maya?" I asked, dropping into the worn chair behind my desk. "We've received a transmission from the Aurora Collective," she replied, her voice laced with a hint of excitement. "They're willing to meet with us to discuss a potential alliance." The Aurora Collective was a mysterious organization, rumored to possess advanced technology and resources. If we could forge an alliance with them, it would significantly strengthen our position in the galaxy. "That's great news," I said, leaning forward. "What's the catch?" Maya's expression turned cautious. "They want to meet on a neutral planet and they're insisting on a personal meeting with you, Alex." I raised an eyebrow, weighing the risks. Meeting with the Aurora Collective could be a gamble, but it was one I was willing to take. I nodded. "Start prepping the ship. Well, leave at dawn." Maya nodded and began tapping away on her console, arranging the necessary preparations. As I stood up to leave, my comms device beeped, signaling an incoming message. I pulled it out, and my heart sank as I read the message from an unknown sender. Alex Carter, Uray playing with fire. Meet me on planet Delta 5 if you want to know the truth about the Aurora Collective. The message was unsigned, but the tone sent a shiver down my spine. Who was behind this warning, and what did they know about the Aurora Collective? I showed the message to Maya, and her expression mirrored my concerns. "I don't like this, Alex," she said, her voice low. "It smells like a trap." I nodded, my mind racing with possibilities. I had to investigate, but I couldn't ignore the warning signs. I decided to bring Eleanor into the loop to get her insight on the situation. "Eleanor," I called out, spotting her near the edge of the settlement, "can I have a word with you?" She strode towards me, her eyes narrowing as she approached. "What is it, Alex?" I showed her the message, and her expression darkened. "Planet Delta 5, she repeated. "That's a lawless world, controlled by rival factions and pirates. You can't go there alone, Alex." I sensed a hidden agenda behind her words, but I couldn't deny the wisdom in her warning. "I'll assemble a team," I said, making a decision. "We'll investigate and get to the bottom of this." Eleanor's gaze locked onto mine, her eyes burning with an intensity that left me wondering, what secrets was she hiding, and what drove her to this desolate corner of the galaxy? As I turned to gather my team, a feeling of unease settled in the pit of my stomach. The stakes were escalating, and I was about to venture into the unknown, surrounded by uncertainty and hidden dangers. I gathered my team, including Maya, Eleanor, and a handful of trusted security personnel. We boarded the ship, and I briefed them on the situation. The message had set off alarm bells, and I knew we had to tread carefully. As we entered the skies above planet Delta 5, the ship's sensors picked up a mess of conflicting signals. Pirate factions, rival gangs, and mercenaries. It was a dog-eat-dog world down there. I spotted several armed vessels patrolling the airspace, their intentions unclear. "Maya, can you hack into their comms system?" I asked, eyeing the holographic display projecting the planet's layout. "I am on it, Alex," she replied, her fingers dancing across her console. We received a response within minutes, a rough, gravelly voice echoing through the comms system. "This is Grimgold Ironfist, leader of the Red Vipers. You're the ones looking for answers about the Aurora Collective, huh? Meet me at the old clock tower in New Haven. But come alone, Carter. I don't want no entourage." I exchanged a cautious glance with Eleanor. This could be a trap, but I had to take the risk. "I'll meet him," I said, standing up. "Eleanor, you're with me. The rest of you provide backup from a distance. If things go sour, get out of here and warn the settlement." Eleanor nodded, her hand resting on the grip of her blaster. We made our way down to the planet's surface, our senses on high alert. The old clock tower loomed before us, its crumbling spire reaching towards the dark sky. I spotted Grimgold Ironfist, a hulking figure with a cybernetic arm, waiting at the entrance. "You're a hard man to find, Carter," he said, his voice like thunder. "What do you want to know about the Aurora Collective?" I kept my hand near my blaster, unsure of Iron Fist's intentions. "What's their game, Iron Fist? What do they want from us?" Iron Fist snorted, a cruel glint in his eye. "They're playing both sides, Carter. They're fueling the rivalry between the Galactic Council and humanity, keeping us weak and divided. They want to harvest our resources, enslave our people, and use us as pawns in their intergalactic games." My gut twisted with anger. I knew the Aurora Collective was shady, but this was worse than I feared. "Why are you telling me this, Iron Fist?" I asked, my voice cold. Iron Fist spat on the ground. "I've lost people to the Aurora Collective's games, Carter. I've lost family. If you're willing to take them down, I am willing to help. But you need to move fast, they're making their move soon." Eleanor whispered in my ear, "This could be a trap, Alex. We can't trust him." I glanced at her, then back at Iron Fist. I had to make a choice, trust this pirate lord or walk away and risk losing the chance to take down the Aurora Collective. "All right, Iron Fist," I said, extending my hand. "Let's make a deal. But if you're playing me, y'all regret it." Iron Fist's grip was like a vice as we shook hands. I could feel the weight of our alliance and the danger that lurked beneath the surface. As we parted ways, I knew that our next move would determine the fate of humanity. The stakes had never been higher, and I was about to roll the dice. The clock tower's bell tolled in the distance, a haunting reminder that time was running out. I returned to the ship, my mind racing with the implications of Iron Fist's words. The Aurora Collective's plan was more sinister than I had imagined. I needed to gather my team and devise a strategy to take them down. As I boarded the ship, Maya greeted me with a somber expression. "Alex, I've been digging into the Aurora Collective systems. I found something disturbing." I followed her to the console, where a holographic display projected a cryptic message. "What is this?" I asked, my brow furrowed. "It's an encoded transmission, but I managed to crack the code," Maya explained. "It's a warning from an unknown source within the Aurora Collective. They're planning to unleash a neural virus designed to enslave humanity's minds." I felt a chill run down my spine. This was worse than anything I had anticipated. "Can we trace the source of the transmission?" I asked, my voice urgent. Maya nodded. "I've narrowed it down to a possible location, an abandoned research facility on the edge of the galaxy. But we need to move fast, Alex. The transmission was sent hours ago. We don't know how much time we have before they deploy the virus." I turned to Eleanor, who stood by the exit, her eyes fixed on me. "Gather the team. We need to gear up and get to that facility ASAP." Eleanor nodded, her face set in determination. "I'll get them ready, Alex. We'll move out within the hour." As we mobilized, I contacted Iron Fist, informing him of the new developments. He agreed to provide backup, but I knew I couldn't rely solely on his involvement. This was a mission that required precision, speed, and cunning. We arrived at the research facility, our ship cloaked to avoid detection. I led the team, weapons drawn, as we infiltrated the perimeter. The silence was unsettling, punctuated only by the hum of machinery and the creaks of the abandoned structure. Maya hacked into the mainframe, uncovering the location of the neural virus. We moved swiftly, navigating through corridors lined with rows of empty cryopods. The atmosphere was thick with the stench of decay and desperation. We finally reached the central lab, where a lone figure stood, surrounded by rows of humming servers. It was a hooded individual, their face obscured by shadows. "Welcome, Alex Carter," they said, their voice distorted. "I've been expecting you." You're just in time to witness the birth of a new era. I raised my weapon, training it on the figure. "You're not taking over humanity's minds today. We're here to stop you." The figure chuckled, a cold, mirthless sound. "You're too late. The virus is already spreading. You can't contain it." My heart sank as I realized the enormity of the situation. We had to act, and fast, if we were to have any hope of saving humanity. "I've got the virus schematics," Maya whispered, her eyes fixed on the holographic display. "I can try to create an antidote, but we need to get out of here now." I took a deep breath, weighing our options. We had to escape, regroup, and find a way to counter the neural virus before it was too late. But as I turned to leave, I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The figure's eyes, piercing and blue, seemed to bore into my very soul. And in that moment, I knew we were in grave danger. The figure's gaze sent a shiver down my spine. I knew that look. It was a look of superiority, of control. I had seen it before in the eyes of my enemies, but never in someone who claimed to be working against humanity. "Get to work on that antidote, Maya," I said, my voice firm. "Eleanor, secure our exit route. We need to get out of here now." Maya nodded, her fingers flying across the console as she worked on cracking the virus code. Eleanor moved swiftly, checking the corridors and clearing our path. I kept my weapon trained on the hooded figure, my mind racing with questions. Who were they, really? What was their true motive? "You're making a grave mistake," the figure said, their voice dripping with malice. "This virus will bring order to the galaxy. It will bring humanity to its knees." I took a step forward, my anger rising. "You're not going to get away with this. We'll find a way to stop you." The figure chuckled again, the sound sending a chill down my spine. "You're no match for me, Alex Carter. You're just a relic of the past, clinging to outdated notions of freedom and humanity. I felt a surge of determination. This was exactly what I had been fighting against, the notion that humanity was inferior, that we needed to be controlled. "Well, see about that," I said, my voice cold. "Let's get out of here, team. We have work to do." As we turned to leave, the figure raised their hand and I felt a strange sensation, like a buzzing in my mind. "No, Alex," they said, their voice dripping with malice. "You're not going anywhere. You're going to stay right here and witness the birth of a new era." I tried to move, but my body felt heavy, unresponsive. The buzzing in my mind grew louder and I knew that we were out of time. "Maya, what's happening?" I asked, my voice strained. "I don't know, Alex," she replied, her voice laced with panic. It's like they're controlling our minds." I felt a surge of fear. We had underestimated the Aurora Collective. They had found a way to bypass our defenses, to control our very minds. I tried to resist, but it was too late. The neural virus had already taken hold, and I could feel my thoughts slipping away, consumed by the darkness. Memories flooded my mind as I lay helpless, trapped in my own body. I remembered the early days, struggling to survive on a barren planet. I remembered the first time I saw the aurora borealis dance across the night sky, a beacon of hope in a desolate world. I remembered the people I met, the friends I made, the enemies I defeated. But most of all, I remembered the lessons I learned. The importance of humanity, of freedom, of fighting against oppression. As the darkness closed in, I knew I had to hold on to those memories. I had to hold on to who I was, to what I believed in. It was difficult, though. The neural virus was powerful, insidious. It whispered sweet nothings in my ear, tempting me with promises of power and control. "You're weak," it whispered. "You're weak and pathetic. You need to be guided, to be controlled." I gritted my teeth, fighting against the voice in my head. I thought of Maya, of Eleanor, of all the people who believed in me. I thought of the empire we were building, of the future we were creating. The virus pushed back, trying to suppress my thoughts, but I resisted, drawing strength from my memories. Suddenly, I was back in the abandoned laboratory, staring at the hooded figure. My body was still frozen, but my mind was clear. "Maya," I whispered, hoping she could hear me. "Eleanor, help me." There was no response. The figure just laughed, their eyes glinting with triumph. "You're no match for me, Alex Carter," they said. "You're just a relic of the past, clinging to outdated notions of freedom and humanity." I felt a surge of anger, of determination. I knew I had to escape, to break free from the neural virus grip. With a burst of adrenaline, I pushed against the virus, fighting against its control. My body trembled, my muscles straining as I slowly regained movement. The figure's eyes widened in surprise as I took a step forward, my eyes locked on them. "You're wrong," I said, my voice cold. "I am the future, and I won't let you take that away from me." The figure sneered, but I could see the fear lurking behind their eyes. They knew I had broken free, that I was now more dangerous than ever. With a fierce cry, I launched myself at them, determined to put an end to their sinister plans once and for all. My attack was swift and precise, but the figure was no pushover. They countered my moves with ease, their skills honed to perfection. We clashed in a flurry of punches and kicks, our battle raging across the laboratory. I could feel the neural virus still lingering in my system, trying to regain control. But I pushed it back, fueling my determination with every blow I landed. The figure was a skilled fighter, but I had the upper hand. I had the motivation, the drive to reclaim my freedom and my future. I pummeled them with all my might, refusing to back down. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I pinned them to the ground. My hands wrapped around their throats, squeezing tight. "You should have stayed out of this," I growled, my eyes blazing with fury. The figure's eyes darted back and forth, searching for an escape. But I was unyielding. I had to know who was behind the conspiracy, who had unleashed the neural virus on humanity. "Who are you?" I demanded, my grip tightening. The figure's face contorted in pain, but they refused to answer. I could see the defiance in their eyes, the conviction that they were fighting for a higher cause. I leaned in closer, my voice a venomous whisper. "I'll find out who you are." And when I do, y'all pay for what you've done." Suddenly, the laboratory doors burst open and a group of heavily armed guards stormed in. They surrounded me, their guns trained on my head. "Alex Carter, you're under arrest," one of them barked. I sneered, my grip on the figure's throat tightening. "You're making a mistake," I warned them. "I'm not going down without a fight." But before I could react, the guards sedated me and everything went black. When I came to, I was in a holding cell, deep within the Galactic Council's stronghold. My head throbbed, my body aching from the sedatives. I looked around, taking stock of my surroundings. The cell was sparse, with only a single cot and a dimly lit console in the corner. I stumbled to my feet, my mind racing. How had I ended up here? What had happened to Maya and Eleanor? As I approached the console, a holographic display flickered to life. "Welcome, Alex Carter," a cold, detached voice said. "You are accused of treason against the Galactic Council. Your trial will begin shortly." I snarled, my anger and frustration boiling over. "This is a sham," I spat. "I know what's really going on. You're just trying to silence me, to stop me from exposing your corruption." The hologram didn't respond, but I could sense the presence behind it, watching me, waiting for me to make my next move. I smiled, a plan forming in my mind. I knew exactly how to turn the tables on the Galactic Council. Bring it on, I thought, my determination burning brighter than ever. The doors to my cell slid open, and a pair of guards escorted me out. I walked tall, my head held high, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The fate of humanity rested on my shoulders, and I was ready to fight for it. As I stepped into the grand chamber, the Galactic Council's imposing presence struck me like a blow. The cold, marble-like walls seemed to close in around me, their intricate carvings a testament to the Council's power and arrogance. To my left, the Council's members sat on their elevated thrones, their faces a mask of indifference. Maya and Eleanor were nowhere to be seen, and a pang of worry gnawed at my gut. At the far end of the chamber, a lone figure stood, cloaked in shadows. I couldn't make out their features, but their presence seemed to command the room's attention. So Alex Carter, the council's speaker, a stern-looking Zorvathian, began, "You stand accused of treason against the Galactic Council. How do you plead?" I smiled, my heart racing with anticipation. This was it, my chance to expose the council's corruption and take them down. "Not guilty," I declared, my voice echoing through the chamber. The speaker's gaze narrowed. "Very well, we will proceed with the trial. But be warned, Alex Carter, the evidence against you is overwhelming." I chuckled, a cold, calculated sound. "I am shaking in my boots." The shadowy figure at the far end of the chamber took a step forward, their presence drawing the council members' attention. I sensed a power struggle unfolding, one that could tip the scales in my favor. "Let us proceed," the mysterious figure commanded, their voice low and gravelly. The speaker nodded, a hint of trepidation in their eyes. "Very well. The first witness, please." A hooded figure emerged from the shadows, their features obscured. I recognized the voice, though. It was the one who had attacked me in the laboratory. "I testify that Alex Carter did conspire against the Galactic Council," the figure stated, their voice dripping with malice. I laughed, a cold, mirthless sound. "You're a poor liar," I sneered. "I think I can prove it, too." The council members exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the turning tide. I smiled, my confidence soaring. Bring it on, I thought, as the trial continued. The hooded figure's testimony was followed by a parade of witnesses, each one more dubious than the last. I countered every accusation with ease, my words dripping with conviction. The council members grew increasingly agitated, their faces reddening with anger. But I knew I had them on the ropes. Just as it seemed the trial was reaching its climax, the mysterious figure intervened once more. "I call for a recess," they declared, their voice echoing through the chamber. The speaker's face darkened, but they nodded reluctantly. "Very well. The trial will resume in 1 hour." As the chamber emptied, I caught a glimpse of Maya and Eleanor, their faces etched with worry. I smiled, a reassuring gesture. "Don't worry," I mouthed. "I've got this." The mysterious figure approached me, their presence commanding attention. I sensed a hidden ally, one who could tip the scales in my favor. "Alex Carter," they whispered, their voice low and gravelly. "I think it's time we had a little chat." I nodded, my curiosity piqued. Who was this enigmatic figure, and what did they want from me? As the recess began, I followed the mysterious figure into the shadows, ready to forge an alliance that would change the course of history. We walked through the winding corridors, the Galactic Council's grand chamber fading into the distance. The air grew thick with tension, the mysterious figure's presence drawing my attention like a magnet. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The figure stopped, their cloak billowing around them like a dark cloud. They raised their head, and I caught a glimpse of piercing green eyes, a stark contrast to the shadows that shrouded their face. "I am Kalen Vex," they replied, their voice like a gentle breeze on a summer's day. "I am a member of the Galactic Council, but not one of them." I raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What do you mean?" Kalen Vex stepped closer, their eyes burning with an inner fire. "I am part of a secret faction within the Council, one that seeks to overthrow the corrupt and bring justice to the galaxy." I felt a spark of hope ignite within me. Could this be the ally I needed to bring down the Council? "Why should I trust you?" I asked, my voice cautious. Kalen Vex smiled, a fleeting gesture that vanished as quickly as it appeared. "Because, Alex Carter, I have been watching you. I have seen your courage, your determination. You are the only one who can bring balance to the galaxy." I hesitated, weighing my options. Could I really trust this enigmatic figure? But something about Kalen Vex resonated with me, a sense of sincerity that I couldn't ignore. "Okay," I said, extending a hand. "Let's work together." Kalen Vex grasped my hand, their grip like a vice. "Together, we will bring down the Council and forge a new path for humanity. But first, we must gather allies and prepare for the battles ahead." I nodded, a sense of purpose driving me forward. This was it, my chance to shape the future of humanity. As we walked back into the Grand Chamber, the Galactic Council's members watched us with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. I smiled, a cold, calculated sound. Bring it on, I thought, as the trial resumed. But little did I know, the true battle was only just beginning. I stood tall, my presence commanding attention as the council members whispered among themselves. Kalen Vex walked beside me, their very presence a declaration of our newfound alliance. The tension was palpable, the air thick with anticipation. "Proceed with the trial," I said, my voice clear and confident. The council's leader, the odious Counselor Arcturus, sneered at me. "You think a secret faction within our ranks will save you, Alex Carter? You are mistaken. We will crush you and your rebellion." I smiled, a cold, calculated gesture. "You're welcome to try." As the trial resumed, Kalen Vex worked behind the scenes, gathering allies and spreading dissent among the council members. I watched, my eyes never leaving the counselors as the seeds of doubt were sown, but not everyone was convinced. Counselor Nova, a notorious hardliner, glared at me with contempt. "You're a fool, Alex Carter," she snarled. "You think you can defy the council and get away with it?" I raised an eyebrow, unfazed. "I've defied the impossible before, Counselor. You're just a minor obstacle." Counselor Nova's face turned red with rage, but I knew I had her on the back foot. The council's unity was crumbling, and I was the catalyst. As the trial drew to a close, I made my move. "I have one final statement to make," I declared, my voice ringing out across the chamber. The chamber fell silent, all eyes on me. "I am not on trial here today," I said, my words dripping with conviction. "The Galactic Council is on trial. Your corruption, your greed, your disregard for humanity, it ends now." The chamber erupted into chaos, counselors shouting and arguing among themselves. I smiled, a sense of satisfaction washing over me. The die had been cast, the battle lines had been drawn. As the council members dispersed, Kalen Vex approached me, their eyes burning with intensity. "The time has come, Alex Carter," they whispered. "We must act, and we must act now." I nodded, my heart pounding with excitement. "Let's do this." Together we vanished into the shadows, gathering our allies and preparing for the ultimate showdown. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and I was ready to take the greatest risk of all. "Get me Zara, Lyra, and Jackson," I ordered, my voice low and urgent. "We need to get the Alliance mobilized, and we need to do it now." Kalen Vex nodded, disappearing into the darkness. I stood alone, my eyes scanning the shadows, waiting for the signal to launch our counterattack. It came in the form of a whispered message, relayed through a secure comms channel. "Alex, this is Zara. We're in position. The Alliance is ready to move." I smiled, a fierce determination burning within me. Let's take back the galaxy. With that, I disappeared into the night, ready to face whatever lay ahead. The battle for humanity's future had begun, and I was leading the charge. I sprinted through the labyrinthine corridors, my footsteps echoing off the cold metal walls. The whispers of the Council's treachery still lingered in my ears, fueling my determination to bring them down. Lyra, Jackson, and Zara awaited me at the designated rendezvous point, their faces set with a fierce determination that mirrored my own. "Report," I demanded, my voice low and urgent. "Alliance forces are in position, Alex," Zara replied, her eyes gleaming with a fierce intensity. "We have multiple factions ready to strike at the Council's strongholds. The Vexian Empire has pledged its support, as have several rogue factions within the Council itself." I nodded, my mind racing with the implications. The tide was finally turning in our favor. "Jackson, what's the situation on the ground?" I asked, my eyes locked on the grizzled warrior. "We've got a mixed bag, Alex," he replied, his voice laced with a hint of concern. "Some of the Council's forces are defecting to our side, but others are digging in their heels. We'll need to move fast to take advantage of the chaos." I nodded, my jaw clenched in determination. "Lyra, can you hack into the Council's comms network? We need to disrupt their command structure and create chaos." The ethereal beauty nodded, her fingers flying across her console. "Already on it, Alex. I'll have their systems crashing within the hour." Zara's eyes flicked to her console, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the screens. "Alex, we have incoming transmissions from multiple factions. They're all requesting your presence on the battlefield." I smiled, a cold, calculated gesture. Time to put on a show. "Let's get moving, team. We have a galaxy to reclaim." With my allies by my side, I set out to lead the charge against the crumbling Galactic Council. The battle raged across the galaxy, a maelstrom of laser fire and thunderous explosions that shook the very foundations of the cosmos. I stood at the forefront of the battle, my presence commanding attention as I rallied our forces and directed our counterattack. The Council's forces fought hard, but their unity was fracturing, and their will to fight was wavering. As the battle reached its climax, I stood face to face with Counselor Arcturus, the odious leader who had sought to crush humanity beneath his heel. His eyes were wide with fear as he realized too late that he had underestimated me. "You're finished, Arcturus," I spat, my voice venomous. "Your council is crumbling and your reign of terror is at an end." The counselor's face crumpled, his eyes welling up with tears of frustration and defeat. "Y'all never win," he snarled, but the conviction was gone from his voice. I smiled, a cold, calculated gesture. "I already have, Arcturus. The people have risen and they will not be silenced." With a final, decisive blow, I ended the battle and shattered the Council's grip on the galaxy. The dust settled, and the silence was deafening. As I stood victorious on the battlefield, I felt the weight of my journey settling upon me. I had come so far, from a resourceful entrepreneur to a legendary leader, guiding humanity to rise from the ashes. But the journey was far from over. The galaxy was in ruins, and the road to rebuilding would be long and arduous. I stood tall, my eyes scanning the horizon, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. For I was Alex Carter, the leader who had brought humanity back from the brink of extinction, and I would not rest until the galaxy was reborn, stronger and more glorious than ever before. As I stood victorious on the battlefield, the silence was broken by the cheers of humanity's triumphant masses. My name echoed across the galaxy, whispered in awe and reverence by the countless lives I had touched. I smiled, feeling the weight of my journey settle upon me, as I gazed out upon the ruins of the Galactic Council's strongholds. Lyra, Jackson, and Zara approached me, their faces beaming with pride and exhaustion. We shared a moment of silent understanding, our bond forged in the fires of battle and strengthened by our unwavering determination. "It's time to rebuild," I said, my voice carrying across the galaxy. "We have a new empire to forge, one that will rise from the ashes of the old, stronger and more resilient than ever before." The cheers intensified as humanity's people, alien species, and factions from across the galaxy rallied behind me. I raised my arms, and the silence that followed was a testament to the trust they had in me, their leader. Let us rebuild with unity, with cooperation, and with a determination to never again be brought to the brink of extinction, I declared, my words carrying on the winds of change. Let us forge a brighter future where all beings can thrive, free from oppression and fear. As the galaxy erupted in cheers once more, I felt a sense of pride and purpose wash over me. This was only the beginning of a new chapter, one where humanity would rise to unprecedented heights, and I would remain at the helm, guiding and nurturing its growth. The days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, as humanity set about rebuilding and reclaiming its place in the galaxy. I traveled the cosmos, meeting with factions and forging alliances, ensuring that our newfound strength was tempered with wisdom and compassion. I stood on the bridge of my flagship, the stars streaking past me like diamonds on black velvet. The galaxy was at peace, its people unified under a banner of hope and cooperation. I knew that there would be challenges ahead, that the path to true greatness was never easy, but I was ready. I was Alex Carter, the leader who had brought humanity back from the brink of extinction. I had faced Thunon and had emerged victorious. I had united the galaxy under a banner of hope, and I would continue to guide humanity forward, ever vigilant, always prepared for what lay ahead. As I gazed out into the starry expanse, I knew that this was not the end of my story. It was merely the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with endless possibilities and adventures. I was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, for I was Alex Carter, the leader who had changed the course of human history. And as I stood there, bathed in the glory of a new dawn, I knew that my name would be etched into the annals of history, a symbol of courage, creativity, and determination. I was the leader who had brought humanity back from the brink of extinction, and I would forever be remembered as the catalyst for a brighter, more glorious future.